Well, hey, onearvo, good to be with you for another week. If you are in kindy, year 1 or year 2, or year 2, great to be with you. If you're a parent, wonderful to be with you. If you're one of our regular onearvo crew from years 3 to 5, hey, stoked to be with you in a very different world now online, but so good to be with you as we explore who Jesus is with you and your friends. Hey, this week, we are looking at something really cool. Actually, a big Bible overview. See, the Bible itself has lots and lots of books, 66 all up, but it has one single message, one big idea, that God loves the world so much that he would send his son and bring us not only forgiveness, but bring us close and back to him. It's almost like what I've been playing with here as we've been in social isolation. I've been playing with Jenga, and so I've got my start here and I've got my finish here, and all these books of the Bible all point to our good King Jesus. Almost like one beautiful link in every story pointing us to King Jesus. So, hey, I've made this game, so let's hit play. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Up. Up. Well, it looks like I've got some more homework to do to get this all flowing well. Today's onearvo program, we've got a whole bunch of cool stuff. We've got Callum doing his memory verse, which is Luke 24, as Jesus talks to a couple of people who don't know who he is or how he has risen from the dead. This is going to be a great one to remember. We've got a wacky challenge aimed for us as well. Julie has got an incredible craft as we head in towards Anzac Day. And Sam is going to be teaching us from the Bible storybook. It's going to be a great time together. Hope you enjoy it. See you soon.
Hey, onearvo. I am doing the Bible reading for today. The heavens are singing about how great God is. The skies are shouting out, "See what God has made." Day after day, night after night, they are speaking to us. Psalms 19, 1-2. God wrote, "I love you." He wrote it in the sky, on the earth, and under the sea. He wrote his message everywhere, because God created everything in his world to reflect him like a mirror, to show us what he is like, to help us know him, to make us hearts sing. The way the kitten chases her tail, the way red poppies grow in the wild, the way a dolphin swims. And God put it into words, and wrote it in a book called the Bible. Now, some people think the Bible is a book of rules, telling you what you should do and what you shouldn't do. The Bible certainly does have some rules in it. They show you how life works best. But the Bible isn't mainly about you and what you should be doing. It's about God and what he has done. Other people in the Bible think it's a book of heroes, showing you people you should copy. The Bible does have some heroes in it, but, as you'll soon find out, most of the people in the Bible aren't heroes at all. They make some big mistakes, sometimes on purpose. They all get afraid and run away. At times, they are downright and mean.
No, the Bible isn't a book of rules or a book of heroes. The Bible is most of all a story. It's an adventure story about a young hero who comes from a far country to win back his lost treasure. It's a love story about a brave prince who leaves his palace, his throne, everything to rescue the one he loves. It's like the most wonderful of fairy tales that has come true in real life. You see, the best thing about this story is, well, it's true. There are lots of stories in the Bible, but all the stories are telling one big story. The story of how God loves his children and comes to rescue them. It takes the whole Bible to tell this story, and at the center of the story, there is a baby. Every story in the Bible whispers his name. He's like the missing piece in a puzzle, the piece that makes all the other pieces fit together, and suddenly you can see a beautiful picture. And this is no ordinary baby. This is the child upon whom everything would depend. This is the child who would one day... But wait. Our story starts where all good stories start, right at the very beginning.
Now, it's question times, so feel free to answer these with your family and friends.
Hey onearvo, it's Callum. We're now going to have the memory verse, which is going to help us to think about how the Bible's one big story. This week, our memory verse comes from Luke chapter 24, verse 27. But before we go into the memory verse itself, we should have a look into what comes before the memory verse, which you can read about in Luke chapter 24. So, let's go. Jesus has just risen, but some didn't hear the good news, and some thought it was too good to be true. Two of Jesus' disciples were walking to Emmaus, which is about 12 kilometers from Jerusalem. Jesus started walking and talking with the men. They were so sad and gloomy. They didn't recognize him, and they hadn't heard the women's accounts of what had happened in the tomb. The angel's news that he had risen. Just before they realized that it is the risen Jesus, Jesus tells them about how the Bible is one big story, and it's about him. And this is where our memory verse comes from for this week. So then when we get to Luke chapter 24, verse 27, Jesus is explaining everything written about himself in the scriptures, from the law of Moses and the books of the prophets. And this all goes to show that the Old Testament was really pointing to him. So we're now going to learn some actions to go along with this memory verse. Jesus then explained everything written about himself in the scriptures, beginning with the law of Moses and the books of the prophets. And this comes from Luke chapter 24, verse 27. Now your turn to follow along with me. Jesus then explained everything written about himself in the scriptures, beginning with the law of Moses and the books of the prophets. That comes from Luke chapter 24, verse 27. One more time. Jesus then explained everything written about himself in the scriptures, beginning with the law of Moses and the books of the prophets. And this comes from Luke chapter 24, verse 27. Keep practicing the memory verse together so that we're able to remember that the Bible is one big, wonderful story. You may want to replay the memory verse or record your actions and send them into Vish so they may appear in next week's video. Well, happy memory versing. See ya!
Hey there, onearvo. It's Julie here. I've got a great Anzac Day craft for us to do this week. Because the Anzac services have had to be cancelled, Aussies and New Zealanders are being encouraged to go onto their driveways at 5:55 on the 25th of April to share a minute's silence to remember the brave men and women who fought to keep our nation safe, and to pray for the brave people who are fighting COVID-19 and trying to keep us safe from this invisible enemy. Here's a craft you might like to make to use in your driveway Anzac service. Here's the equipment you're going to need for this craft. If you've got an old milk bottle, juice bottle or fizzy drink bottle, you could grab those. Also, you're going to need some texters, markers, or maybe some window paints if you've got them. You'll need some tea light candles, and I've printed out a template to help me with the drawing. And this is what the end product will look like. We'll put a bit of sand in there and pop our tea light candle in, and it'll make a nice little display for our driveway service. First, you'll need an adult to help you cut off the top of your milk bottle. Then, we're going to get our templates and stick them on the inside so that we can trace around and colour them in. When you finish the colouring in, simply take out your template, put a little bit of sand or dirt or some rocks in the bottom to hold it down. Carefully drop in your tea light candle And there you go, our lovely Anzac lights. Perhaps your family could think of some other things to do in the service. You could write or read an Anzac poem. Maybe you could sing an Anzac hymn or read a story about the Anzacs. After the service, I love making Anzac biscuits to share with my family. I hope you'll be able to join us for this unique Anzac Remembrance Service. See you next week.
All right, guys, time for the wacky challenge. This is a challenge for you, for me, for your parents, as well as our team from onearvo. Now, here's the one thing that we've learnt today. We've been thinking about how the Bible has one big story. One story, and we want to get that into our heads. So instead of throwing the Bible into our heads, this week's wacky challenge is we're going to put the Bible or a book on top of your head and walk 20 meters or 20 steps, whatever. But you can record yourself doing this. You can record your parents doing this, and you can send the video in and we'll play it straight after our onearvo time together. First things first, let's see which leader is going to do this week's wacky challenge. Come on. Emily hasn't done a challenge yet. I haven't done a challenge yet. Julie, has Julie done a challenge? I'm not sure. Callum, he's definitely done a challenge. Sam and Daniel. So let's see who the wacky challenge is going to be for this week. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Emily, the challenge is for you. The wacky challenge, put a book or a Bible on top of your head as we remember the Bible has one big story. Over to you, Emily. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Well, onearvo, it's the end of our time together. I hope you've remembered that one big thing that we've been talking about today. That the Bible, although there's many books, there is just one great story that arcs right across. From start all the way to the finish. It's all about Jesus. It's all about how God would send his son to rescue us and bring us back to him. So, a couple of announcements. The first one's this. Make sure you send in some of the challenges that you've been doing. If you've remembered the memory verse from what Callum said from Luke 24, then send us a couple of pictures of you or a video of you doing the verse with the actions. Maybe you've done the wacky challenge from what Emily did, where she's trying to get the big story of the Bible in her head, on her head. You know what I mean. Or it could be doing the craft, as we consider what Anzac Day means for us as God's people. Whatever it is, we'd love to hear from you. So keep sending in your stuff, and we'll make sure we throw it on the back end of our time together. Okay, time to make a fail a win. The Jenga trail is happening. Ready? 3, 2, 1.